One Focus Radio.
Welcome to the show, it's Dyer's Daily. Keeping in the know, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got chat, we've got discussion, nice and slow, ain't no rushing, reading emails and events. Sometimes he makes no sense. It's time to start the show, it's Dyer's Daily. He'll be there in a mo, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got plays, we've got interviews, even stuff that's in the news. Local and otherwise, come and try it on for size, it's Dyer's Daily.
Hello and welcome to the Dyer's Daily podcast for Friday the 30th of November 2018. In this podcast, we're celebrating 20 episodes of this show. 20 more, who knows? We'll talk about that in just a moment after our podcast of the week. Okay, so take it away. Podcast of the week. Go on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take it away.
When it comes to women's healthcare, too often we face limited options and doctors who just don't get it.
I feel at times that I know more than some of the providers I see.
Lady Parts is a new podcast that takes a wide view on women's health. We'll talk about the latest drugs on the market.
Something that is very low risk, but which isn't treating the disease, is just trying to reduce symptoms.
And alternative ways of understanding our bodies.
Women have more yin energy and men have more yang energy. And so that's why it's more common, like for men, to have strokes, have heart attacks. Women are more prone to stuff like fibromyalgia and autoimmune and stuff that's more deficiency related.
We'll also talk policy, where the healthcare system supports us and where it lets us down hard. Nothing is too gross.
I don't want to describe this because some people who like to eat liver might not eat liver after, but I can recall like clumps of blood clots just coming out of me.
And we'll have some fun, too. So that means women can have more sex.
You're not going to deplete your essence.
Listen to Lady Parts with me, Andrea Maraskin, coming October 21st, wherever you get your podcasts.
Dyer's Daily.
Well, dear listener, the unexpected, but the intended has happened. Yes, indeed. It's the 20th episode of Dyer's Daily. That means I have been doing this show for an entire month. Now, anybody that knows me knows I find it very difficult to stick to things. But actually, this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing. Because when sitting down with friends and telling them what I do with this podcast, they often go, well, what's the point? What is the point in doing that? You know, what is the beef? What is it all about? And I basically go, it's about absolutely nothing. Because most conversation is about nothing, unless it's about something. But you see, I often describe it to people when I sit down for lunch, for tea, in a pub. I often say to them, right, I'm sat with you having a conversation. This is basically the key ingredient in Dyer's Daily. I am sitting here talking to you, the listener, directly about a range of different things, sometimes organised and well thought out, other times at the top of my head, because most conversation is at the top of your head unless you planned to do it, which is very, very rare that happens. So it's been a very interesting journey, and I like to think that we've kind of moved forward with Dyer's Daily and with the show, and hopefully in time for New Year, we'll have some new ideas in the can, some new things going on. And I've actually been recording stuff for other podcasts, and it's been a really good learning experience, learning about creating different kinds of content, because that is basically the thing that I prize most. I love that we live in this era now where content is king. Okay, it doesn't matter what you're using, it's all about what you're using it for. which I think is a wonderful thing. That's why things like podcasts exist. If we worried about what people created their podcast with, we wouldn't listen to any of them. They'd be a complete flop. No one would bother. All we'd keep doing is keep listening to the big boys. You know, your NBC, your CBS, your Fox News, your BBC radio, all that stuff. We'd just be listening to those people. But even then, I've heard some shocking podcasts from big boys, sometimes not necessarily in recording stakes, but in actual content. You go, well, that's awful. You know, it's terrible. Why has that made it through? And it's made it through because, you know, they've got all the equipment and they don't need to worry. But you see, we live in this thing now where they do need to worry, because there are all these podcasters out there making key content with quite rudimentary equipment. Certainly compared to the big boys, but compared to years ago when the big boys were using stuff, it's quite high tech, really. So you podcasters out there that are listening to this, you're using old high-tech equipment that they would have chewed their right arm off for years ago in the big sector, and you're now using it to create key content. So keep up the good work. Whether I'm going to last beyond this month, beyond next month, or the next month after that, is one of the challenges that a podcaster faces. You know, is there a point where the show reaches its natural conclusion? You would hope that a show about nothing, a show that hasn't got a specific thing in mind, could go on and on and on. But, again, it's all down to that key thing, because they often say that most podcasts don't get past, say, episode 9, because the enthusiasm from the person creating it has actually gone. But I find that because I'm doing this on a daily basis, because this is going out, I never get bored. I see 5-10 listeners up there every day. I get quite interested in the facts of it and promoting it, and the fact I can come on here and talk about anything shows that there is kind of there's a huge scope. You know, I don't think we could ever run out of scope. And when I was presenting music radio, I found myself getting quite bored with the idea of just playing music day in, day out, day in, day out. Obviously, if somebody wants to pay me to do that, then I will do it. But I found that the real thing that I loved doing was sitting here and having a conversation with you, the listener. And I find that I find it a really rewarding experience, because I find the more I just sit here without any inhibition, just sit here and have a conversation with you, I find that my speech gets better, the way I word things, my phrase, my vocabulary, everything gets better, and thus I feel better in myself. So in a way, music radio wasn't really providing anything along those lines, because you speak for about 30 to 60 seconds, not even that sometimes, and then you're on to the next song, whereas with this, you can kind of warm up, you can structure an argument, and because it's about anything that's on my mind, I can talk to you about. Anything that anyone wants me to mention, I can talk to you about. There is no limitation. So with that in mind, I do hope that this podcast will be around beyond episode 20. To reach episode 100, I think would be something quite special. I'm not that great with math, but I'm sure that it's next year sometime, certainly. Because I think what we could reach, I don't know, if I kept on until New Year, I think we'd be on, say, episode 40 by then. I'm not sure. I might be completely wrong with my mathematics, because it's five a week. So let me figure this out, right? So 5 a week, there's like 4 weeks until New Year. That is really thing. So that's 20. Yeah, okay. So yeah. I've worked that out. You've probably worked that out way before me, but you know, just a bit of on-air stuff, bit of rambling, as it were. I've also found as well that talking to you like this has actually allowed me to space out my speech pattern. So I've been able to use the pause a little bit more, you know, do your more kind of Terry Wogan, stretching it out, your Jack Benny, just letting the words roll. Sometimes pausing for effect, because I find a lot of broadcasters will speak and it will just be absolute mayhem. There's no breath, there's no anything, and I think it comes from that there must be some ego thing associated there, because they've only got like 30 seconds to speak, and if you've only got 30 seconds, you're going to try and squeeze as many words as you can into them, and it just becomes a mess. And I know from listening to old recordings of myself, I fell into that exact trap. I sat there and was literally blending as many words into 30 seconds as I could. I was getting faster and faster and faster. And you know that's a gradual thing, because occasionally when I repeated a show from a few years ago and my relatives would sit there listening to it, they'd go, well, you're a lot slower there. And you go, yeah, because for some reason, as you go on, you get faster. And I don't really know why. I guess it's like musicians. They kind of get faster and slower sometimes, all depending on the atmosphere. I suppose it's the adrenaline, really. But to cap all this off, this has been a wonderful experience, and I hope to continue doing it for many months, many years perhaps, to come. But I won't hold my breath, because who knows what could come between now and next November. Lots of things, hopefully, in Dyer's Daily Land. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. Please rate, comment, and subscribe on your favourite podcast provider. And I shall see you on Monday at the same time, same place, Dyer's Daily, with me, Jamie Dyer. Have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. And I think I'm just going to go and lie down now. Okay, right. See you later. Bye-bye.